The arrival. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Zephyrian fleet emerged from hyperspace, their sleek, crystalline ships gleaming in the light of Earth's sun. Admiral Zorax stood on the bridge of the flagship, his iridescent scales rippling with anticipation. His multifaceted eyes scanned the blue-green orb before him, a planet teeming with life and ripe for conquest. "Status report," Zorax commanded, his voice a melodious hum that reverberated through the ship's neural network. "All systems nominal." "Admiral," replied his second-in-command, Vexura. "Scans indicate a technologically inferior species populating the planet. They call themselves humans." Zorax's mouth tendrils twitched in what passed for a smile among his kind. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered countless worlds across the galaxy, their superior technology and hive-mind tactics proving unstoppable. This Earth would be no different. "Prepare the vanguard," Zorax ordered. "We'll make planetfall in their most populous region. Let's give these humans a proper introduction to their new masters." As the Zephyrian dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, alarms blared in military bases and government facilities across the globe. In Washington, D.C., President Elena Rodriguez rushed into the Situation Room, her face etched with concern. "What are we looking at, General?" she demanded, taking her seat at the head of the table. General Marcus Chen, a veteran of countless conflicts, activated the holographic display. "Madam President, approximately 30 minutes ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected a massive energy surge. Moments later, these appeared in low Earth orbit. The hologram showed the alien fleet, hundreds of ships surrounding the planet like a swarm of ethereal fireflies." "My God," whispered the Secretary of Defense. "Are they hostile?" As if in answer, the first explosions rocked New York City. The Zephyrian dropships had begun their assault, their energy weapons carving swaths of destruction through the urban landscape. "I think that answers your question," President Rodriguez said grimly. "General Chen, initiate Operation Thunderbolt, and get me a direct line to our allies. We're going to need every resource at our disposal." As chaos erupted across the globe, Dr. Aisha Patel worked feverishly in her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains. The brilliant physicist had been recruited by a secret government program years ago, tasked with developing defenses against potential extraterrestrial threats. Now her worst fears had come to pass. Come on," she muttered, her fingers flying across holographic interfaces. The prototype shield generator hummed ominously, its power core pulsing with barely contained energy. A deafening explosion rocked the facility, and klaxons began to wail. Dr. Patel's assistant, Jake, burst into the lab, his face pale with fear. "They've breached the outer defenses," he shouted over the din. "We need to evacuate." Dr. Patel shook her head, her jaw set with determination. "Not yet. I'm close to a breakthrough. This shield could be our only hope against their weapons." As Zephyrian troops advanced through the facility's corridors, their energy rifles disintegrating everything in their path, Dr. Patel made a final adjustment to her calculations. The shield generator's hum rose to a fever pitch, and a shimmering dome of energy expanded outward, enveloping the lab. Moments later, a Zephyrian soldier burst through the door, its weapon trained on the humans. It fired, but the energy blast dissipated harmlessly against the shield. The alien's compound eyes widened in surprise, an emotion rarely felt by its kind. Dr. Patel allowed herself a small smile. "Gotcha," she whispered. Meanwhile, in the skies above London, Royal Air Force pilot Sarah Thompson banked her Typhoon fighter jet hard to port, narrowly avoiding a blast from a Zephyrian attack craft. The alien ship was unlike anything she'd ever seen, its crystalline structure defying conventional aerodynamics. "Bulldog leader to all units," she called over the comm. "Concentrate fire on their aft section. It seems to be a weak point." The squadron of human fighters regrouped, unleashing a barrage of missiles at the alien craft. To their amazement, several found their mark, sending the Zephyrian ship spiraling towards the ground in a spectacular explosion. Bloody hell, we got one, Sarah exclaimed, her voice filled with fierce joy. Keep it up, team. Show these extraterrestrial bastards what happens when they mess with Earth. As battles raged across the planet, Admiral Zorax watched from his flagship with growing unease. The humans were proving far more resilient than anticipated, their primitive weapons somehow managing to penetrate Zephyrian defenses. Impossible, he muttered, his scales shifting to a troubled hue. How can they be offering such resistance? They're barely out of their Stone Age. Vexera approached, her posture submissive. Admiral, we're receiving reports of heavy losses in multiple engagement zones. The humans, they're adapting to our tactics at an alarming rate. Zorax's eyes narrowed. Perhaps these humans warranted further study before they proceeded with full-scale invasion. Pull back the vanguard, he ordered. We'll regroup and reassess our strategy. As the Zephyrian forces began their temporary retreat, a cheer went up from defense centers around the world. Humanity had weathered the initial assault, bloodied but unbowed. In the White House, President Rodriguez addressed the nation and the world. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began, her voice steady and resolute. Today, we face the greatest threat in our planet's history. An alien force has come to our world, seeking to conquer and subjugate us, but they have gravely underestimated the human spirit. She paused, her eyes blazing with determination. We are not mere prey to be hunted. We are not a primitive species to be easily dominated. We are humanity, and we will fight. We will innovate. We will persevere. And in the face of this cosmic threat, we will stand united as never before. As her words echoed across the globe, humans of all nations, races, and creeds found themselves standing a little taller, their resolve strengthened. The Zephyrians had wanted to give humanity a proper introduction to their new masters. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species whose potential they had gravely underestimated. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and humanity was ready to show the universe what they were truly capable of. The battle begins. As the sun rose over a changed Earth, the scars of the initial Zephyrian assault were painfully evident. Smoke billowed from the ruins of once great cities, and millions of displaced people sought refuge wherever they could find it. But amid the chaos and destruction, a fierce determination had taken root in the hearts of humanity. In the Pentagon's newly established Alien Threat Response Center, General Chen pored over holographic battle maps, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. "What's the status on Project Prometheus?" he asked, addressing a group of haggard but focused military and scientific personnel. Dr. Patel, her lab coat stained and singed, stepped forward. "We've managed to reverse engineer some of the Zephyrian shield technology from the wreckage of their dropships. It's not perfect, but we're rolling out retrofits to our fighters and tanks as we speak." Chen nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Good work, Doctor." "And the EMP weapon?" "Still in development," Paddle replied, frustration evident in her voice. "Their systems are more resilient than we anticipated, but we're making progress." As they spoke, alerts flashed across the holographic displays. Chen's face hardened. "They're back. All hands to battle stations." High above the Earth, Admiral Zorax surveyed the planet with a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. The humans had bloodied his nose, but now it was time to show them the true might of the Zephyrian Empire. "Launch the World Breaker," he commanded, his voice cold and determined. From the belly of the Zephyrian flagship emerged a massive, pulsating orb of energy. As it descended towards the planet, smaller craft broke off to engage Earth's defensive forces. In the skies over the Pacific, Squadron Leader Sarah Thompson led a mixed group of human and retrofitted alien fighters against the Zephyrian onslaught. Her Typhoon, now equipped with salvaged alien tech, danced between energy blasts with newfound agility. "All wings, form up on me," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We've got to take out that big bastard before it reaches the atmosphere." The human-alien hybrid squadron flew in tight formation, unleashing a barrage of missiles and energy weapons at the Worldbreaker. To their dismay, the massive orb seemed to absorb their attacks, growing larger and more ominous with each passing moment. "Bloody hell," Sarah muttered. "Command, this is Bulldog Leader. Our weapons are ineffective against the target. Request immediate backup and new orders." On the ground, the situation was equally dire. In the ruins of Moscow, a ragtag group of Russian and American soldiers fought side by side against waves of Zephyrian ground troops. Sergeant Dmitry Volkov crouched behind a shattered tank, his experimental plasma rifle humming with power. "Hey, Yankee," he called to the American soldier next to him, Private First Class Maria Rodriguez. "I bet I can take out more of these crystal bastards than you." Rodriguez grinned, hefting her own alien tech-enhanced weapon. "You're on, comrade. Loser buys drinks when this is all over." With a shared nod, they vaulted over their cover, their weapons spitting superheated death at the advancing aliens. The Zephyrians, unused to such fierce resistance from what they considered an inferior species, fell back in disarray. As battles raged across the globe, Dr. Patel worked feverishly in a mobile lab, racing against time to unlock the secrets of the Zephyrian technology. Her eyes widened as a new data set flashed across her screen. "That's it," she exclaimed, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "The Worldbreaker. It's not just a weapon. It's a massive energy collector. It's absorbing our attacks and growing stronger." She quickly relayed her findings to General Chen, who paled at the implications. "So how do we stop it?" Patel's mind raced. "We need to overload it. Hit it with more power than it can handle, all at once." Chen nodded grimly. "I'll coordinate with our allies. We'll throw everything we've got at this thing." "But Doctor, if this doesn't work—" "I know," Patel replied softly. "It's a one-shot deal. If we fail, there might not be an Earth left to defend." As word of the plan spread, military forces around the world prepared for what might be their final desperate assault. Nuclear missiles were armed, experimental energy weapons powered up, and every available aircraft and spacecraft was scrambled. In low Earth orbit, Sarah Thompson and her squadron regrouped, joined by a motley assortment of craft from nations around the world. Russian MiGs flew wing-to-wing with Chinese G-20s and Indian Tejas fighters, while hastily armed civilian spacecraft took up flanking positions. "All units, this is Bulldog Leader," Sarah broadcast on all frequencies. "You've all been briefed on the plan. This is our last shot at taking out the Worldbreaker. No matter what happens, it's been an honor flying with you all. For Earth." A chorus of affirmations rang out in dozens of languages, united in purpose. On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Zorax watched with growing unease as the humans marshaled their forces. "What are they doing?" he muttered, his scales shifting to a troubled hue. Vexera, his second in command, analyzed the data streaming in. "Admiral, they appear to be concentrating all their firepower on the Worldbreaker. But that's madness. It will only make it stronger." Zorax's eyes narrowed. "Unless—" No, they couldn't have figured it out. Could they? For the first time since the invasion began, a tendril of doubt crept into his mind. Back on Earth, in command centers and makeshift bunkers, leaders and civilians alike held their breath as they watched the battle unfold on whatever screens were available. President Rodriguez, her face etched with the weight of the moment, gave the final order. "All units, fire at will. Give them hell." In a coordinated assault unlike anything seen in human history, the combined forces of Earth unleashed their fury upon the Worldbreaker. Nuclear warheads detonated in silent flashes, their energy absorbed by the massive orb. Experimental particle beams lanced out from secret mountain facilities, while salvaged alien weaponry added its power to the maelstrom. Sarah Thompson and her international squadron dove towards the Worldbreaker, unleashing every missile and energy blast they had. "Come on," she growled through gritted teeth, her fighters shuddering from the strain. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing seemed to happen. The Worldbreaker continued its implacable descent, swelling with the endless energy being poured into it. Then, just as hope began to fade, a tiny fissure appeared in its surface. "Look!" Rodriguez shouted from her position in the Moscow ruins, pointing at the sky. The crack in the Worldbreaker grew, spreading across its surface like a spiderweb. Zephyrian ships began to break formation, retreating from the failing superweapon. With a silent, devastating flash, the Worldbreaker detonated. The shockwave rippled through space, shredding Zephyrian ships and sending debris raining down through the atmosphere in fiery streaks. A cheer went up from every corner of the globe as the sky lit up with the remnants of the alien threat. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged bloodied but victorious. In the Pentagon, General Chen sagged with relief, while Dr. Patel allowed herself a moment of fierce joy. "We did it," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. But their celebration was short-lived. As the debris of the Worldbreaker settled, long-range scanners picked up a new threat. The Zephyrian main fleet, dwarfing the force they had already faced, was entering the solar system. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from over. Humanity had proven its worth as a formidable adversary, but their greatest challenges still lay ahead. As news of the approaching armada spread, humans around the world steeled themselves for the trials to come. They had tasted victory, felt the surge of unity in the face of cosmic threat. Now they would need to dig deeper, push further, and reach heights of innovation and courage they had never before imagined. The Zephyrians were coming in force, but this time, humanity would be ready. The turning point. The calm after the Worldbreaker's destruction was short-lived. As the Zephyrian main fleet approached, Earth scrambled to prepare for the next wave of the invasion. In underground bunkers and hastily fortified research facilities around the world, humanity's brightest minds worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien technology. Dr. Aisha Patel stood before a group of international scientists, her holographic presentation displaying complex schematics of Zephyrian tech. "The key to their FTL drives lies in the manipulation of dark energy," she explained, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. "If we can replicate this technology, we might be able to take the fight to them." In a corner of the room, Jake, her once timid assistant, spoke up. "But Dr. Patel, even if we manage to build our own FTL drives, their fleet still outnumbers us significantly. How can we hope to match their firepower?" Patel's eyes gleamed with determination. "We don't match it, Jake. We surpass it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Project Excalibur." The hologram shifted, revealing designs for a massive space station. By combining our advancements in energy manipulation with Zephyrian shield technology, we can create a weapon capable of punching through their defenses like their tissue paper. As the scientists buzzed with excitement and trepidation, a military liaison stepped forward. "How long until it's operational, Doctor?" Patel's expression turned grim. "That's the catch. We need time we might not have." Meanwhile, high above the Earth, the remnants of the human-alien hybrid fighter squadron regrouped near a hastily constructed orbital defense platform. Squadron leader Sarah Thompson's voice crackled over the comms. "All wings report in. We've got incoming bogies, and they look nastier than anything we've faced before." As her pilots sounded off, a new voice joined the channel. "This is Captain Kira Chen of the U.S. Defiant. We're moving to support your position, Bulldog Leader." Sarah's eyes widened as she saw the sleek form of humanity's first space-worthy warship emerge from behind the moon. Bristling with a mix of human and salvaged alien weaponry, the Defiant represented the best of human ingenuity and determination. "Glad to have you with us, Defiant," Sarah replied, a smirk playing on her lips. "Let's show these cosmic cockroaches what happens when they pick a fight with the wrong planet." As the space battle erupted in furious exchange of energy beams and missiles, the situation on the ground remained tense. In what was once downtown Sydney, now a maze of rubble and makeshift fortifications, Sergeant Amir Khan led a group of Australian and Indonesian soldiers in a guerrilla campaign against Zephyrian ground forces. "Watch your six, Maya," Amir shouted, tackling his Indonesian counterpart as an alien energy blast sizzled through the air where she had been standing. Lieutenant Maya Surya nodded her thanks, then pointed to a group of civilians cowering behind a collapsed building. "We need to get them to the bunker," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Amir nodded, keying his radio. "All units, this is Dingo Actual. We're evacuating civilians from Sector 7. Need covering fire and a path cleared to Sanctuary Bunker." As his troops mobilized, coordinating with precision, born from weeks of desperate fighting, Amir couldn't help but marvel at how quickly old rivalries had been set aside in the face of this cosmic threat. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Zorax found himself in an unprecedented situation, feeling doubt. The humans had destroyed the Worldbreaker, something no species had ever managed before. Now, reports were coming in of fierce resistance on multiple fronts, with human forces displaying tactics and technology that seemed to evolve by the hour. "Admiral," Vexera approached, her usual confidence shaken. "We've lost contact with the ground forces in the region they call Australia, and our fleet is taking heavier losses than anticipated in near-Earth orbit." Zorax's scales rippled with a mix of anger and begrudging respect. How are they adapting so quickly? We've conquered worlds far more advanced than this." As if in answer to his question, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the main view screen, a massive energy signature blossomed on the far side of the moon. "Evasive maneuvers," Zorax bellowed, but it was too late. A lance of blindingly white energy sliced through space, cutting through the Zephyrian fleet's front lines like a hot knife through butter. On the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, Captain Kira Chen allowed herself a moment of fierce joy. Direct hit. Excalibur platform is functioning at 100% efficiency. Recharging for the next shot. Sarah Thompson's voice came over the comms, filled with awe. "Bloody hell, Captain. I think you just turned the tide of this war." As the space battle raged on, with human forces pressing their sudden advantage, a different kind of confrontation was taking place deep within a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Paddle stood before a containment chamber, facing the facility's most closely guarded secret, a captured Zephyrian general. The alien, its crystalline body pulsing with dim light, regarded her with compound eyes that seemed to hold a universe of knowledge. "Why?" Dr. Patil asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and barely contained anger. "Why did you come here? Why try to destroy us?" The Zephyrian was silent for a long moment before responding, its voice a melodious hum translated by advanced software. "We came because it is what we have always done. We conquer. We absorb. We grow. It is our nature." Patel's eyes narrowed. "And did you ever stop to think that maybe, just maybe, there might be another way? That cooperation might yield better results than conquest?" The alien's crystalline form shimmered, a gesture that might have been the equivalent of a shrug. "Such thoughts are not our way, or they were not. But you humans, you confound us. You are primitive, yet you create wonders. You are divided, yet you unite in the face of threat. You are fragile, yet you show a resilience we have never encountered." As Dr. Patel processed these words, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. Jake burst into the room, his face pale. "Doctor, you need to see this." They rushed to the main control room, where screens displayed the ongoing space battle. The Excalibur platform fired again, its energy beam cutting a swath through the Zephyrian fleet. But as they watched, the alien ships began to adapt, their shields remodulating to absorb and disperse the energy. "No," Patel whispered, her heart sinking. "They're adapting. We need something new, something they can't predict." As if on cue, a message flashed across the screens, a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship, broadcast on all frequencies. Admiral Zorax's face appeared, his alien features set in what might have been grim determination. "People of Earth," he began, his words translated into every human language. "You have proven yourselves worthy adversaries. In all our conquests, we have never encountered a species with your potential." He paused, and for a moment, the battles around the Earth seemed to hold their breath. "We propose a cessation of hostilities," Zorax continued, "not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals. There is much we could learn from each other." As the implications of this statement rippled across the globe, Dr. Patel turned to the captured Zephyrian general, whose containment field she had deactivated during the broadcast. "Is this genuine?" she asked, hardly daring to hope. The Zephyrian's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Admiral Zorax does not lie, Dr. Patel. But more than that, we have seen something in humanity that we have never encountered before, a spark that could ignite the stars themselves." As world leaders scrambled to respond to this unexpected turn of events, as soldiers on both sides held their fire in confused anticipation, as scientists like Dr. Patel saw not an end but a new beginning, the fate of two species, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. The war that had begun with an invasion was poised to end not with Earth's destruction or subjugation, but with the birth of something entirely new, a partnership that could reshape the cosmos. The human spirit unleashed. The days following Admiral Zorax's unexpected offer of peace were filled with tense negotiations and cautious optimism. As the Zephyrian fleet held position just beyond the moon, leaders from Earth's nations gathered in a hastily convened summit at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. President Elena Rodriguez stood at the podium, her voice steady as she addressed the assembly. "We stand at a crossroads unlike any humanity has faced before. The choice before us is not just about ending a war, but about shaping the future of our species and our place in the cosmos." In the audience, Dr. Aisha Patel sat next to the Zephyrian general, now acting as a liaison between the two species. The alien's crystalline form shimmered with an emotion that might have been excitement or anxiety. It was still difficult for humans to interpret Zephyrian expressions. As debates raged and proposals were put forth, it became clear that humanity was divided on how to proceed. Some advocated for caution, pushing for a slow, measured approach to interspecies cooperation. Others, emboldened by Earth's unexpected resilience in the face of invasion, called for a more aggressive stance, seeing an opportunity to rapidly advance human technology and influence. In orbit, aboard the U.S. Defiant, Captain Kira Chen and squadron leader Sarah Thompson watched the proceedings via holographic feed. "What do you think?" Sarah asked, her fighter pilot's instincts still on high alert despite the ceasefire. Kira's eyes narrowed as she studied the Zephyrian ships on her tactical display. "I think we'd be fools to trust them completely," she replied. "But we'd be even bigger fools to pass up this opportunity." As the summit continued, Dr. Patel found herself increasingly acting as a bridge between human and Zephyrian perspectives. Her insights into alien technology, combined with her ability to think outside traditional human paradigms, made her an invaluable asset in the negotiations. "You have to understand," she explained to a group of skeptical military leaders, "the Zephyrians don't think in terms of nations or even planets. Their entire society is built around the concept of constant expansion and absorption of new knowledge and resources." General Chen, his face lined with the stress of recent battles, leaned forward. "And how do we know they won't simply absorb us, Doctor?" The Zephyrian general's voice hummed through its translator. "Because you have shown us something we have never encountered before, the ability to innovate and adapt at a rate that rivals our own. In all our conquests, we have never met a species that could match us in this way." As the implications of this statement sank in, a new sense of possibility began to spread through the assembly. Humanity had not just survived an alien invasion, they had impressed a spacefaring civilization with technology far beyond their own. Meanwhile, in laboratories and workshops around the world, human scientists and engineers worked feverishly to integrate Zephyrian technology with their own innovations. The breakthrough came in an unexpected place, a small tech startup in Nairobi, Kenya. Young engineer Zuri Okoro stood before a group of wide-eyed investors and military observers, her hand steady as she activated a device on the table before her. "Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the first human-made faster-than-light communication device." The device hummed to life, and suddenly a real-time holographic image of the far side of Mars appeared in the air. Gasps of awe filled the room, followed quickly by a burst of applause. News of the breakthrough spread like wildfire. Humanity had taken its first real step into the galactic community, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as innovators in their own right. In Geneva, the news acted as a catalyst, shifting the tone of the negotiations. President Rodriguez seized the moment, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. "We propose a joint mission," she announced, "a human Zephyrian expedition to the edge of our galaxy, sharing technology and knowledge as equal partners." Admiral Zorax, present via holographic projection, was silent for a long moment. Then, to the shock of many, his crystalline form rippled in what humans were beginning to recognize as their equivalent of a smile. "Agreed," he hummed. "Let us explore the unknown together." As word of the joint mission spread, a wave of excitement swept across the globe. The nightmare of invasion was giving way to a dream of cosmic exploration. In cities and villages, humans looked to the stars with new wonder and purpose. Sergeant Amir Khan, standing amid the rebuilding efforts in Sydney, gazed up at the night sky with his comrade, Lieutenant Maya Surya. "Did you ever imagine," he mused, "that we go from fighting for our lives against aliens to planning space missions with them?" Maya shook her head, a wry smile on her face. "Never. But that's humanity for you. Always surprising." In orbit, final preparations were underway for the groundbreaking expedition. The U.S. Defiant had been refitted with a mix of human and Zephyrian technology, its crew a carefully selected mix of both species. Captain Kira Chen stood on the bridge, surveying her diverse crew with pride. Sarah Thompson, now promoted to wing commander, manned the tactical station, her fighter pilot's reflexes making her an ideal choice for the role. Dr. Patel, appointed as chief science officer for the mission, worked seamlessly alongside Zephyrian engineers, their shared passion for discovery bridging the gap between their species. As the ship prepared for its historic journey, President Rodriguez delivered a final address to the crew and to humanity as a whole. "Today, we take our first true steps into the cosmic ocean," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We go not as conquerors, not as the conquered, but as explorers and innovators. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of our entire species and the promise of a new era of interstellar cooperation." With a flash of energy that lit up the Earth's sky like a new star, the U.S. Defiant engaged its FTL drive, vanishing into the depths of space. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The invasion that had threatened to end human civilization had instead launched it into a new age of discovery and potential. As the ship hurtled towards the unknown, Captain Chen's voice echoed through its halls and across the communication channels back to Earth. "To all those watching, remember this moment. This is not the end of our story, it's just the beginning." The human spirit, tested by fire and tempered by adversity, had proven itself ready for the challenges and wonders of the wider universe. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned with infinite possibilities. A new understanding. The U.S. Defiant streaked through the cosmos, its hybrid human Zephyrian technology, allowing it to cover vast distances that would have been unimaginable to humanity just months before. As Earth shrank to a pale blue dot in the ship's rear sensors, the crew settled into a routine that was anything but ordinary. On the bridge, Captain Kira Chen sat in her command chair, watching as human and Zephyrian crew members worked side by side. The initial awkwardness had given way to a growing sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. "Status report," Chen called out, her voice steady and assured. Wing Commander Sarah Thompson, her fingers dancing across the tactical console, responded first. All systems nominal, Captain. Our new Zephyrian enhanced sensors are picking up some interesting anomalies in a nearby star system. Dr. Aisha Patel, hunched over a holographic display with her Zephyrian counterpart, looked up with excitement in her eyes. Captain, I think we found something extraordinary. These readings suggest a Dyson sphere in the early stages of construction. A hush fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. A Dyson sphere, a megastructure built around a star to harness its entire energy output, had long been theoretical for both humans and Zephyrians. To find one under construction meant encountering a civilization potentially more advanced than either of their own. Captain Chen's decision was immediate. Set a course, helmsman. Let's introduce ourselves to the neighbors. As the Defiant altered its trajectory, news of the discovery was relayed back to Earth and the Zephyrian homeworld. The joint mission, already historic, had just taken on even greater significance. On Earth, the announcement of potential contact with a new, highly advanced alien civilization sent shockwaves through society. President Rodriguez addressed an anxious but excited global audience. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Today marks another milestone in our journey to the stars. Our joint expedition with the Zephyrians has discovered evidence of a civilization that may surpass both our species in technological advancement. We stand on the brink of a new era of cosmic diplomacy and discovery. In cities around the world, humans gathered in public squares, their eyes turned skyward. The fear that had gripped the planet during the invasion had been replaced by a sense of wonder and possibility. Humanity, so recently on the brink of subjugation, was now poised to take its place in a larger galactic community. Back on the Defiant, as they approached the star system housing the Dyson sphere, tensions began to rise. Captain, Sarah called out, her voice taut. We're picking up multiple vessels on an intercept course. They're like nothing we've ever seen before. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing sleek, almost organic-looking ships that seemed to phase in and out of reality. They moved with a grace that made even the advanced Defiant seem clumsy by comparison. Open a channel, Chen ordered, straightening in her chair. Let's hope first contact goes better this time around. For a moment, there was silence. Then a melodious voice filled the bridge, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Greetings, travelers. We are the Harmony. We have been expecting you. Dr. Patel's eyes widened. They knew we were coming. How is that possible? The voice continued, a hint of amusement in its tone. Your journey was foretold in the quantum echoes of probability. We have watched your species, both of your species, with great interest. Your conflict and your subsequent cooperation have proven you ready for the next step. Captain Chen, her military training kicking in, remained cautious. And what exactly is this next step? A shimmering portal appeared on the bridge, and through it stepped a being of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and flowing. To join us in shepherding the younger races of the galaxy, to help guide the cosmic dance of civilizations towards harmony and understanding. The crew of the Defiant stood in awe, human and Zephyrian alike united in their wonder at this new revelation. The universe, it seemed, was vaster and more complex than either of their species had imagined. As discussions began between the Defiant's crew and the Harmony, it became clear that this encounter would reshape not just Earth and the Zephyrian Empire, but the entire galaxy. The age-old question of humanity's place in the universe was being answered in ways no one could have predicted. Months later, as the Defiant returned to Earth orbit, it brought with it not just advanced technology and scientific knowledge, but a new perspective on cosmic coexistence. The ship's diverse crew had become a microcosm of what was possible when different species worked together towards a common goal. In a historic ceremony broadcast across Earth and to the far reaches of Zephyrian space, Captain Chen, Dr. Patel, and their alien counterparts stood alongside world leaders and the enigmatic representatives of the harmony. President Rodriguez, her voice filled with emotion, addressed the assembled crowd and the billions watching around the world. Today, we take our place in a grand cosmic community. We have faced our greatest fears, overcome our deepest divisions, and emerged stronger for it. The stars are no longer a distant dream, but a new home waiting to be explored. As cheers erupted around the globe, as Zephyrian crystals pulsed with joy, and as the harmony's energy forms shimmered with approval, humanity looked to the future with newfound hope and purpose. The invasion that had once threatened to end human civilization had instead become the catalyst for its greatest transformation. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. It was part of a rich tapestry of intelligent life, each thread unique but interconnected. As night fell across the planet, people everywhere looked up at the stars with new eyes. The pinpricks of light that had once seemed so distant now represented endless possibilities, new friendships, and adventures yet to come. Humanity had not just survived its trial by fire. It had emerged reborn, ready to take its place in the cosmic dance. The end of one chapter had become the beginning of an even greater story, one that would be written across the stars themselves. And so, as the U.S. Defiant prepared for its next mission, as scientists and diplomats from three vastly different civilizations shared ideas and dreams, as children on Earth played with toys of starships and alien friends, a new age dawned, an age of exploration, cooperation, and infinite potential. The universe, vast and mysterious, beckoned, and humanity, standing tall alongside its new allies, was ready to answer the call.